Hello everyone! Are you looking for ways to reduce waste at home? Well, you're in the right place. I'm going to share 5 of my favorite tips for reducing waste at home, especially in the kitchen. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you've never been to my channel before, I'm Jones, the vegan archaeologist, and this is where I share healthy vegan recipes, tips for sustainable living, and a little bit of archaeology in the mix because I actually make my living as a professional archaeologist. So if you're into any of that, please subscribe to my channel and make sure you hit that bell so that you get notified every time I post a new video. And show some love by giving me a big thumbs up and leave a comment. Introduce yourself, I'd love to get to know you. As you may know, this month is Earth Month. Well, actually, I don't know if Earth Month is really a thing, but Earth Day definitely is, and I personally believe that every day should be Earth Day, and so every month should be Earth Month, right? Anyway, because the official Earth Day is coming up, I was inspired to do a series on a topic that is really important to me, and that is what is known as the 3 R's, or what I call the 4 R's, because most people know the first 3, which is reduce, reuse, and recycle, but the 4th one is respect. And to me, this is one of the most important ones, because when we take care of our environment by reducing our waste and reducing our impact, by reusing items and recycling things that we can't reuse anymore, then we are showing respect for our beautiful planet that we all live on, as well as all the other people and all the other living creatures that share this beautiful planet Earth as well. So this will be the first in a series of probably 2 to 3 videos. I originally wanted to do 4, one for each week in Earth Month, but I am a busy person and I got behind, and so here it is, almost Earth Day, and I'm still making the first video. So I'm just going to keep the momentum going and keep doing the videos, and if you like the content that I'm putting out, please let me know and I will do more of it in the future. In this video, I'm going to start with ways to reduce waste and to reuse items that you already have, which is also reducing and recycling. So it all comes around and relates to each other in the big circle of life. One of the really hot topics out there right now is about reducing food waste. And I just got my recent copy of my magazine, which is put out by Kroger Foods, and this is not sponsored in any way. I just happen to shop at a Kroger store a lot. I have a local King Supers just right down the street from me, and that's where I end up doing the majority of my shopping. But this issue is all about Earth Day, and they talk about all the different ways that they are working to help reduce food waste, which I think is so awesome, and I hope that more large grocery chains hop on board with this idea, because it's something that's really important, and because they are an outlet that does have the potential to create a lot of food waste, and also they have a platform for creating a lot of awareness around this topic. I just think it's like super important that more of these companies get on board with reducing waste and spreading the word about how to do that at home. One of the things they talk about in the magazine is how they donated 74 million pounds of food to food banks. That is a crazy amount of food, and I think it's so awesome that they're doing this. So what they do is they take food that is about to expire and they freeze it or refrigerate it, and then they send it out in their special refrigerated trucks to the donation spots. So you don't have to be a big grocery chain to be able to donate food to food banks. There are always food banks around in probably every city that will happily take your donations and those people who are in need will greatly appreciate those donations. Just make sure that the items that you're donating are not already expired. Be aware of what you have in your cupboards, do an inventory every once in a while, and if you find things in there that have been there for a while and you don't think that you're going to use them, consider donating them before they expire and have to be thrown out. And if you have expired food that you don't know what to do with, consider starting a compost bin. It's so easy to do, and there's a lot of different kinds of composting bins out there that you can buy. But if you don't have the money or the space for a big bin, you can use an old trash can or a bucket, or you can build your own bin out of scrap wood. Something that I want to do that I think is a really great idea is building one out of wooden pallets. I personally have a very large garden, and so I'm looking to expand my composting area, and so I am on the lookout for some free wooden pallets. I often see them around town near businesses that they are giving away for free, and if you can collect some of those and use them to build something in your yard that will help reduce waste, it's a great way of reducing and reusing and recycling. So it's a win-win. So I save my food scraps when I'm cooking. I just keep a little container next to my cutting board and I put all my scraps in there. I usually use something like a mushroom container that can be washed and reused or recycled later on if I decide I don't want to use that one anymore. But any kind of washable, reusable container will do. I'm actually trying to move away from getting mushrooms in packages like this because the King Soopers has a really nice section with bulk mushrooms, and I'd rather buy them that way, and they're fresher that way usually anyway. So when the container is full, I just take it to my compost bin outside, and I can also add yard waste like lawn clippings and leaves in the fall, or when I prune my trees or pull out dead vegetation from the garden, I can add it to the compost. And then in the spring, everything is decomposed really nicely, and I can add that as fertilizer to my garden. So you can add the compost to vegetable gardens or flower beds or around trees, anywhere that you would normally put fertilizer. This is natural and free, and you are reducing your food waste by reusing all those food scraps that you've collected over the year. If you don't have a garden of your own, some cities have compost pickup services, or maybe a neighbor who does have a garden might want it, or you could donate it to a community garden. Another way to use vegetable scraps is by collecting them and freezing them, and you can make your own veggie broth with them later. To do this, just put your scraps in a bag and keep it in the freezer till you're ready to make your broth, or you might want to make it right away. And you just add your veggie scraps to a big pot of boiling water and let it boil for about 20 minutes, and then strain off the veggies, and you have a beautiful broth that you can then freeze or keep in your refrigerator until you're ready to use it. Another way to reduce food waste is by regularly cleaning out your cupboard and your refrigerator. You can do a little inventory of what you have, and that way you can make sure that you use what you have before purchasing more. Now, I'm pretty good about doing this with my refrigerator, but not so good about doing it with my pantry. I have a really big pantry, and things tend to get pushed towards the back, or it just gets really messy and I don't know what's in there. So this month I'm making a real effort to clean out my cupboards and organize things in a way that I can easily see them and know exactly what I have, so that I don't purchase too much of any one thing. And it helps me get creative in the kitchen, because then I see the things that I need to use up and I have to come up with some really great recipes to to use those items. Also, if you're able, try buying spices and dry goods in bulk. Now, what I am talking about is not going to Costco and buying mass quantities of food. What I'm talking about is using the bulk bins that you can find in a lot of grocery stores and natural food stores. You would be amazed at what you can find in the bulk bins. Not only dry goods like beans, grains, nuts, spices, but also things like pasta, candy, snack items, and I mean just all kinds of stuff. Dried fruit. I love buying in bulk. And it'll not only reduce waste, but it can also save you a lot of money. I recently went to my local natural food store to stock up on spices. They have a really great spice section, and I did a little price comparison to see what the actual savings were, and it turned out that buying spices in bulk saved me half the cost or more of buying them pre-packaged. That is an amazing savings. And the best part of it is that you can buy whatever amount you need. So you don't have to buy a huge amount of spices. You can buy a small amount, or any other goods that you're buying in bulk. You can buy what you need instead of, buying a large quantity and having a bunch of it go to waste. And the stuff that you buy is always fresh that way. So my local natural food store, like I said, they have a great spice section, but they also have lots of other things like gluten-free pastas, gluten-free flours, and my favorite vegan staple, which is nutritional yeast. So yes, you can buy things like nutritional yeast in bulk. And a lot of the spices that I bought, I couldn't even find in the regular grocery store. So they had a huge variety at great prices. Now, I do use plastic baggies to put my spices in when I go to buy them in bulk, and I'll give you a tip as far as the use of plastic. Now, plastic is everywhere and people are so used to using it, but it's really bad for our environment. It ends up in our ecosystem, it ends up in our streams and our oceans, and the chemicals leach into our water supply, and there is just plastic trash everywhere. So it's really important that we start reducing the amount of plastic that we use, especially in our grocery shopping. Now, there are a lot of plastics that can be recycled, and my next video is going to be on recycling, how to recycle and what types of items can be recycled, but this video is about reducing waste. So when I was growing up, my mom always washed plastic bags, and this is back in like the 60s and 70s, before people were really talking about reducing plastic. She would just wash her produce bags that she had gotten at the store and dry them and then fold them up, and she had a little special pocket in her purse that she would put them in, so whenever she was at the store she could pull out one of these produce bags and reuse it instead of getting a new one. And I have always done that. I picked up that habit from her, and once I got out in the world I was really amazed that no one else does this. I had never met anyone else that does this all the time. So if you do this, I would love to know. Please leave a comment below and let me know if you wash and reuse your plastic bags already. It's just never made sense to me that people don't do this all the time. I mean, why is it that we think that plastic in particular is something that we can just use once and throw it away, when it can easily be reused by just giving it a little wash? And it's so easy to do when you're doing your regular dishes. I just fill a pot with some soapy water and wash my bags. Just take a little cloth, wipe out the inside, give it a good rinse, and then I lay it out to dry. And there are actually little like baggie trees that you can buy. I will try to find one and put a link to that in the description box below so that you can buy one if you want one. But personally, I just kind of lay them across other dishes and let them dry, and then I take a clean dish towel, turn them inside out, let the other side of it dry, and then when they're completely dry, I fold them up and I have a special little drawer that I put them in, or I put some of them into my cloth grocery bags so that I have them ready to go when I'm at the grocery store. I also wash my Ziploc baggies, and it is amazing how many Ziploc baggies I actually have because I have not purchased any in years. But different relatives seem to always give them to me, especially after a family gathering. They'll put leftovers in them for me to take home. They give me money in them, or give candy to the kids in them, or put photographs in them. Just about anything you can think of, they put in a Ziploc baggie and give it to me, and then I am obligated to wash and reuse those. So I have an amazing collection of Ziploc baggies, even though I never personally purchased them myself. And some of these baggies I swear I've had for years, but I just keep washing and reusing them and they're just fine. Sometimes they don't last all that long. They might get a hole in them or rip, and at that point I try to recycle them. Again, I will be talking more about recycling in the next video. So when I go grocery shopping and I know I'm going to buy some stuff in bulk or some produce, I make sure that I have plenty of baggies with me. And it's a lot easier to do this than to take jars with you, which is another alternative. And I recommend that if you take jars with you when you're buying stuff in bulk, just make sure that you have them weigh the jar before you put the stuff in it. Otherwise, you're going to end up paying for the weight of the jar. And if you have a small scale at home, you can weigh it at home and label it with the weight, and that way you always know how much that jar weighs. Now, I'm not sure if every store has the ability to take the weight of the jar off, so you might want to check with them before you start shopping and make sure that that's something that they can do. Most stores can accommodate for that. You can also purchase or make your own cloth bags for putting bulk items and produce in. Cloth bags are great for grains and certain kinds of produce. They're great for fruit. If I'm buying mushrooms, I usually put those in a paper bag or a mesh bag because it keeps a lot better than putting it in a plastic baggie, or you can also use cloth for mushrooms. But vegetables in general don't always do really well as far as keeping fresh in a cloth bag. So there's a couple ways you can get around that. One solution to this is to buy only what you need for a couple of days, and that way you're always buying fresh produce and it stays fresh. But if you're like me, you're a busy person and ain't nobody got time for that. So again, this is where washing and reusing those plastic bags can come in handy. But another solution is to prep your veggies as soon as you get home. So you can chop them up, and a lot of vegetables such as carrots and celery keep really well if you put them in a jar with some water. This actually helps them stay fresher and crisper than they would in a plastic bag. Bonus, they are all ready for meal prep or for grabbing as a snack when you're on the go. Freezing your veggies is another option, but you'll want to take the extra step of blanching your veggies before you put them in the freezer. So this does a couple things. It helps kind of clean them off, getting rid of the dirt and organisms, any bacteria that might be on them. And it also helps preserve some of the enzymes and the vitamins and nutrition that they have. And it also pre-cooks the veggies a bit so that they're ready to use when you're doing your cooking. To blanch, just cut your vegetables into the desired sized pieces and cook them in salted boiling water for about 60 seconds. Test the veggies until they are the desired doneness that you want. When they're ready, strain the veggies into an ice bath to stop the cooking process. Drain the veggies, pat them dry with some clean dish towels, and put them in a freezable container. I know sometimes it's hard to remember things like bringing your own bags to the grocery store, or keeping your cupboards organized, or keeping up with washing those plastic bags. But I promise you, if you keep trying, eventually it'll become a habit, and it will be so much better for the environment and all the people and all the creatures that live and share this beautiful planet Earth. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any additional tips for reducing waste at home, please leave them in the comments below. We'd all love to hear what you have to say. So for now, peace out and happy Earth Day.